just tend that garden. It is a time waster for you to be looking over the fence, comparing your garden to the neighbor's garden. This is the one I've given you.
Let me ask you a question. I'm going to go back really quickly. We were talking about just the impact that social media has had on us. And you've been homeschooling for so long that when you first started homeschooling, there was no social media. It didn't exist.
Right.
Have you seen a huge shift in mom guilt since the onset of social media? Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I get so many email messages, things like that, direct messages on Instagram and stuff from moms who are just, they feel like they've got this standard that they have to meet that is just so unreasonable. And it's just, it takes the joy out of homeschooling. So yes, I had the opportunity to sort of establish a foundation without that. And so that was a huge blessing. But I also know that the moms who are currently mothering and homeschooling you were made for such a time as this.
Right.
So God will give you the strength to know how to navigate this, but it is wise to take huge breaks, I think, and to be super discerning, how much time you spend, if any, and really just praying for God. And I had to pray for this even when we didn't have social media. I was like, Lord, give me eyes to see my family the way you see them. Like, help me to see my kids the way you see them through your eyes. And, as a mom and a homeschooling mom, that is a full-time commitment, man. That is, we don't have a lot of brain space left for the other stuff. So, make sure that you're committing your resources and investing well where it matters. We talk about, I was thinking today about how the scriptures say, a wise woman builds her house up, but a foolish one tears hers down. And there's a lot of different ways we can do that. So if we're comparing ourselves or our kids to other things we're seeing, that is a way of tearing our house down. And we don't want to do that. We want to be wise women who build our house up, and we build that house on a solid foundation. And what does it say in Psalms? It says, that unless the Lord builds the house, the builders labor in vain. Right. So we labor in vain if we're not doing this with the Lord's blessing and his direction and his wisdom.
I think the enemy is so clever to get us to take our eyes off of the Lord and off of why we're doing this. And that's the whole point, right? Of the whole guilt thing, if we can just make these moms feel guilty, make them feel like they're doing it wrong, then maybe they'll give up. And they'll just move on to something else, put the kids back in school because you're doing it wrong, mom. Have someone else teach them, have someone else raise them because you're not good enough. You're not doing it right. And that's such a lie. It's such a lie from the enemy.
Absolutely. And that would be the worst case. Best case, if you continue to let this become a distraction, is that you're not fully invested and putting the energy into what God has already given you. I used to think of it like this, because even like I said, before social media, there was the temptation to compare, right? I remember the Lord saying, take care of your own backyard. Like, I gave you this yard with this garden in it and all these little plants. Just tend that garden. It is a time waster for you to be looking over the fence, comparing your garden to the neighbor's garden. Right. This is the one I've given you. So, tend it well, pull the weeds, water, fertilize, be committed, be out there every day. Know what your little plants are doing every day, how they're doing. And that's kind of how I did that with our kids. I check in with them physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually every day. Just have a pulse on them. And then you're going to know when something needs to be tweaked or adjusted, and God's going to, he's going to give you wisdom and show you that. So so we don't need to be carrying that guilt. And I don't want to put a guilt trip on someone who, we were just talking about social media. Somebody could be feeling guilty because, like, I'm saying, don't get on social media. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that phone, those things, if you look at them as a tool, and so how are you using that tool? Is it being productive in the way that the Lord would want you to be productive? That's all.
Homeschool Insights is sponsored by CTC Math. If you're looking for a great online math program, visit ctcmath.com and try it for free. For more great homeschool inspiration and resources, listen to the Schoolhouse Rocked podcast every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday.